Welcome to the Systems Thinker Show. This is Season 5, Episode 38. We're all about exploring ways to improve team cultures, and today we're diving into a fascinating concept. What if the secret to looking powerful and competent is simply to make things look easy? We're going to unpack this provocative idea and see how the art of effortless results can seriously transform team performance. And before we jump in, a huge shout out to our listeners in 32 countries around the world. That's just amazing. We're on a mission to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, but you know what? Less than 43% of our listeners are actually subscribed. So if you get any value out of this, please do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe or follow button. It really helps us with the algorithm so we can continue bringing you these best-in-class business cultural insights. All right, let's get into it. We are tackling a really provocative idea today, and it comes from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. It's Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. The basic idea is that by concealing all the toil and the practice, you project this aura of natural mastery and power. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds like a recipe for hiding problems, for creating invisible work, and just burning out your team. But what if it's not about deception at all? What if it's actually a blueprint for a higher level of performance? That's the big question we're going to investigate right now. Okay, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll reframe the law itself. Then we're going to look at a fascinating case study, explore the economics of simplicity, unpack the two competing philosophies that are at play here, and then finally, we'll build a practical blueprint that you can actually use. So let's start by redefining this controversial law. We are not talking about faking it or creating a culture where hard work goes unappreciated. Not at all. We're talking about a much more sophisticated strategy, separating the polished front stage, that's what your customers and stakeholders see, from the disciplined hard work of the backstage. To make this really concrete, let's look at a real-world example. It's a medical device company called Meridian Devices. They took this exact idea and used it to completely transform their entire culture. So Meridian had a problem. Internally, their culture celebrated heroic effort and firefighting. You know the type, right? But what did their customers see? Well, they saw uneven delivery, they heard constant noise about how hard everything was, and they dealt with a really defensive culture. This was leading to high turnover on their customer-facing teams. Basically, all their internal chaos was leaking out. So they made 3 critical changes. First, they redefined what good work actually meant. It was no longer about visible effort, it was all about clean outcomes. Second, they formally created that separation between a polished front stage and a disciplined backstage. And third, and this is so crucial, they stopped rewarding the firefighters and started rewarding quiet, predictable stability. And the result? Get this, a 41% reduction in critical issues after their product releases. This wasn't just a shift in perception, it was a hard, measurable improvement in quality, and it was all driven by their new focus on backstage discipline. Now, let's zoom out, because this idea goes way beyond just one company. There is a powerful economic engine behind the appearance of effortlessness. The bottom line is simplicity sells. The core principle is actually pretty simple. Customers don't just value effortless experiences, they are actively willing to pay more for them. When something just works, it creates immense brand loyalty and it commands a premium price. And the data completely backs this up. This is really interesting. Studies consistently show that a significant majority of consumers, in this case 64%, will pay more for simpler brand experiences. The perception of ease has real, tangible economic value. And this isn't just a consumer trend. It is a core principle in high-performing technical fields. In software engineering, for example, the best teams invest heavily in their backstage processes, their development flow, to make their front-stage product reliability seem completely natural and easy. And the numbers are just staggering. According to DORA Research, that's DevOps Research and Assessment, elite software teams deploy 182 times more frequently than their peers. 182 times! They make it look easy because they've perfected the engine that's running backstage. So this brings us to the core tension, right? On one hand, you have Robert Greene's focus on perception and influence. On the other, you have the systems thinking approach of building robust infrastructure. Let's break these two down. So just look at this comparison. Greene's school of influence is all about projecting mastery and controlling the narrative. The risk? Well, it's burnout and cynicism if the backstage can't actually support the front stage claims. Then you have the School of Infrastructure, championed by thinkers like petersenge and Linear Johnson. Their goal is about building capabilities so that mastery is real and repeatable. The risk here is that you could become slow and bureaucratic. So this really boils down to a fundamental difference in your intent. Is your primary goal to project an image of mastery to gain a strategic advantage? Or is it to build a system that makes mastery an inevitable, repeatable outcome? As we're about to see, the true magic really happens when you do both. And that leads us to our final section: how to synthesize these two schools of thought into a powerful, unified blueprint that any team can use to achieve those effortless results. What's fascinating is that both of these approaches are chasing the same goals: a stellar reputation, speed, and reliability. But look at the different vehicles they use to get there. Green uses curated optics and surprise. The systems thinkers use measurable flow and error proofing. The first is all about perception, the second is all about process. So here's the playbook that brings it all together. It starts with absolute clarity on what done actually looks like, so you know when you've created value. From there, you establish a rhythm, and you limit your work in progress to prevent that visible chaos. Then, you measure what matters, so that effortless becomes a real indicator of good flow. And finally, you wrap it all in customer-centric stories that showcase the outcomes, not the effort. So we'll leave you with this question. Every single team has a front stage and a backstage. Take a hard look at yours. Is the disciplined, often invisible work that's happening on your backstage truly enabling the smooth, effortless results that everyone gets to celebrate on your front stage? To go deeper on these ideas, please visit www.karaswisher.com. And while you're there, you can also find our other podcast, The Continuous Improvement Lab. A special thanks to our executive producer and founder, Linear Johnson. And if you found this valuable, please subscribe or follow to see more. Thanks for tuning in.